Hey guys, so earlier today I went and saw Wind River, the new crime thriller that's been getting critically acclaimed. Before I get into that review, I do want to say something real quick, and that is simply fuck you 2017. If you're wondering why I'm saying fuck you 2017, I right before I got into the movie theater to go see Wind River, I got the news that fucking Toby Hooper died. Goddamn, man. Like, between this, Romero, Bill Paxton, that's the three that come off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other, Adam West. Fuck, who else? There's been a lot of fucking Jerry Lewis this past week. Yeah, 2017 is a bullshit year along with 2016. Two really talented horror directors have died this year, and that's fucking terrible. Toby Hooper, I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what else to say about that movie? It's one of the greatest horror movies ever made, and it's a shame that we lost him, man. The real talented guy. I forgot he made fucking the original Poltergeist. That's one of my favorites too. Always has been. Damn good movie. But like I said, Texas Chainsaw is like one of the greatest horror movies ever made. A lot of people I know think that's still one of the scariest movies ever made. I agree with it. But rest in peace, Toby Hooper. It's a damn shame we lost him. Now let's get on to the review because I don't want to keep talking about this. So I want to eventually get done with this here. Wind River, like I said, was a new crime thriller that's been getting a lot of critical acclaim. This is a movie that I had never gotten any previews for. Again, I could blame that maybe on the fact I rarely go to the movie theaters anymore. But I had seen a lot of commercials for that, and that was the only reason I knew anything about this before I saw it was playing this weekend. I was like, yeah, it's a new crime thriller with Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. Cool. That's all I kind of knew about it. And it's getting really good reviews. Cool. That's pretty much all I knew about it. And it was about an Indian, some crime going on in an Indian reservation. I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't know. I went in cold pretty much with this movie, not reading any reviews about it, just knowing that it's been getting well received, all this stuff like that, knowing who was in it, yada yada yada. And yeah, this was a pretty goddamn good movie. It was a really, really good thriller. I definitely enjoyed this thing. This should get some Oscar nominations. I definitely see that, especially for Jeremy Renner, who pulls off a damn good performance in this thing. This movie reminded me, I'll probably say this more than a few times while doing this review. This movie reminded me of a lot of, and I've heard some comparisons here and there about it, with this movie, is Mystic River. This movie has a lot of the same themes, a lot of the same plot. It's not copy and paste, but it feels like almost like another version of Mystic River in some ways. And that's not a bad thing, because Mystic River is a fucking fantastic movie. And taking Sean Penn's place as the kind of crazy dad is Jeremy Renner, even though he's a little bit more sane in this movie than Sean Penn was in that movie. And Sean Penn was great in that movie. He fucking earned that Oscar. And he's great. He is this hunter who, hunts basically wolves and mountain lions and stuff like that are attacking sheep. These farmers or these Indian or these people that are living on this reservation, sheep or like cattle or anything like that. They raise cattle and sheep, and they'll have problems where wolves are attacking their cattle or their sheep, and he goes out and hunts them. He comes across a dead girl in the middle of the wilderness in the freezing cold with no feet or no shoes on, and Apparently, she just was running out in the wilderness with no shoes on, and she just collapsed and died from the freezing cold, which is like below 20 degrees of the day, I think they established. And he also has experience where he had a daughter, teenage daughter, and pretty much the same thing happened to her, including, I think, like with the girl who gets killed or at the beginning of the movie, or is dead at the beginning of the movie, also raped, which I think that's happened. I might be wrong, but I think pretty much the same thing actually happened, although they never really go too much more upon that, which I thought was weird. I thought they could have kind of connected the two stories a little bit, but he is kind of, because of that, he kind of is hell-bent on finding this guy and bringing justice to him in his own way. And he has some really goddamn good scenes in this movie, like really well acted. Jeremy Renner's a goddamn good actor. I like him as an actor, and yeah, he's gonna get. I would be shocked if he didn't get an Oscar nomination, but also at the same time I won't be, because fucking the Oscars just ignore a lot of people anymore nowadays. Elizabeth Olsen's also really good. She's always been she's goddamn. Ever since I first saw her, I forget what movie I first saw her in. She's just been an actress that keeps blowing me away, and I wish she was in more things, like in the lead in more things. And she's like this kind of out of her league FBI agent who really just got thrown into this case, who doesn't know much about the wilderness, the Wyoming wilderness that this movie's taking place, or the Indian reservation, and she has some awkward conversations with some of the Indian residents because of that, that come off kind of insensitive, especially that scene where where she's talking to dead girl's parents, and yeah, that was pretty awkward, especially the dad. But she's really good in this movie. I liked her in this movie. She was. I don't know if she'll get an Oscar nomination or not. We'll see. But it would be nice. I don't think she has ever gotten one yet. So I mean, this was a good performance from her. I thought Jeremy Renner was better, but yeah, it was a good enough performance. I wouldn't have a problem her getting a nomination either. Because of how critical acclaimed this is, I almost expect this is going to get like nominations, acting and directing, especially, probably writing. This movie, like, I was just like, man, if there's one thing I took away from this fucking movie, it's like, it sucks to live on an Indian reservation in Wyoming, apparently. Fuck. Man, it's a movie that shows the harsh realities of what's going on in Indian reservations. If any of the shit that this movie claims is happening on Indian reservations is happening, fuck. Man. In Wyoming, especially, Jesus. It's like pretty much like people. I think there's like a whole speech at the end, if I remember it, like where it's just like where dreams go to die. That's where people just give up all hope that live there. That they're never going to go anywhere else, and it's kind of sad and pathetic. Man. It also like talks about the still awkward relationship between whites and Indian Native Americans, and how there's still a little bit distrust between the Indians and the white Americans, and it's I think it's always gonna be a problem. If I have any problems with this movie, like, I have, like I said, I went cold going into this movie, didn't really read any reviews, and I really haven't read any reviews since I've seen the movie, so I don't know if I'm the only one who's been saying this, or if there's anybody else out there that's kind of had this problem with this movie, it's not really like a major problem because I still was entertained and like I still like this movie and like I still highly recommend it. But I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like the last 20 minutes of this movie were kind of a mess. When I say it's a mess, in the last 20 minutes, you find out who raped and killed this girl. And you find this out through a flashback that comes out of fucking nowhere. It literally comes out of nowhere. That features, of all people, Jon Bernthal, who I forgot was in this movie because I only knew he was in this movie because I saw on Google he was a part of the cast. And I'm like, Jon Bernthal? I've not seen any promotions featuring him, and there's a reason why. He's not the rapist. I'll say that right off the bat. But he has a pivotal role in what happens. And I was like, that was weird. It was like, what is up with first off, what is up with Jon Bernthal being only in movies, like critically acclaimed movies like Baby Driver and now this for like 5 minutes and then disappearing for the rest of the film? Like, this movie's like fucking Hilary Swank and Logan Lucky, or just pops up out of nowhere like a half hour into the movie. like at least Hilary Swank has like maybe like 20 minutes left of the movie, or 20 minutes of the movie. Like, he's only in this movie for like less than 5. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then out of nowhere, this goes right from the flashback to a fucking bloody shootout. It just feels like it just came out of the movie just started playing the theater just started completely starting like a whole separate movie. I'm like, what the hell? Like, literally the twist and everything else, the revelation, all that stuff, it just felt like it just came out of nowhere. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels that. Like, the best way to describe it is like with the original Friday the 13th, like, you never knew who the killer was until like the last 15 minutes. There was no indication whatsoever in that movie who the killer was. And in this movie, there is really no indication. It just comes out of nowhere when it is revealed who the rapist, the killer is. And it's just like, well, there was no setup, nothing. It was just, wow, okay, I would check my clock. I'm like, well, I guess this movie's almost over. I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't, and it was, but it was like, huh. I just thought that was weird. Like, how that last 20 minutes was just a jumbled, like, just fast, or it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I said, especially the revelation, but it does have a satisfying conclusion. What happens to the rapist and stuff like that is pretty awesome. I loved it. It had a satisfying ending. I liked it. Like I said, I wasn't bored by it. It was just like, I don't know if I was the only one who was just baffled about how fucking just out of nowhere, like, out of left field, this fucking twist in the last 20 minutes came. That's what it felt like. But like I said, it didn't take away my enjoyment of this movie whatsoever. I still highly recommend this movie. It's a damn good movie. It's an interesting sit. Like, I kept wondering where this movie was going and where like the twist of this movie were going, and like I said, in the last 20 minutes, you're like, whoa, what the hell? Like, it was kind of jarring for a little bit there. But yeah, highly recommend this movie. Trailers. I got a few new ones. Damn it. Oh, Tulip Fever. It's Alicia Vikander, who I think one of the most gorgeous women in fucking Hollywood, in my opinion. and Dane DeHaan and Christoph Waltz. Where Christoph Waltz hires Dane DeHaan to paint his wife who grows tulips. I don't know. And I don't know if this is based off a true story. And he falls in love with Alicia Vikander, Dane DeHaan, and they start an affair, and they're trying to keep it secret, yada yada yada. It's like forbidden love, like Romeo and Juliet, whatever. It didn't look terrible. Battle of the Sexes. I didn't realize this was happening. This movie was happening. It's the movie about the tennis match between Billie Jean King and what the hell was the other guy's name? Somebody in the comments tell me. But Steve Carell's playing the guy. This was his pompous ass, which I could get behind, and then Billie Jean King's being played by Emma Stone, which is weird casting because if you're gonna I remember Billie Jean King not exactly. I this is before my time, but what I've seen of Billie Jean King was not the most attractive looking woman, and you got Emma Stone, who, let's just say, pretty attractive, which is like, I thought that was kind of weird, but whatever. And it's from the directors of Little Miss Sunshine, so I'm like, all right, cool. I was like, it didn't look too bad. And then, speaking of something that looks terrible, Polaroid. This is a fucking movie that's happening. It's girl finds a fucking mysterious old antique Polaroid camera, and when she takes pictures of people, they die. Isn't that like a plot of the fucking Goosebumps? I don't know. I was like, really? Like, she tries to set fire to one of the pictures, and then like her friend's arm hilariously catches fire, like via CGI fire. It looks fucking terrible. It looks like something like, oh my god, that CGI fire is so bad. It was really bad. That movie looked so awful. That movie looked really awful. That, like, I was like, maybe it'll be like Wish Upon, and it'll be fucking hilarious, but I highly doubt it. That's as far as trailers go. I don't know what the hell is next week. There's a lot of just nothing the next few weeks. I know a couple weeks is it, so I don't even know if I'll be seeing that. So I don't know what's coming up next. So maybe I'll be back with something whenever. All right, until then, I'll talk to you guys.